Okay, so thanks so much for, so can everybody hear me okay? Okay, all right, nice. Everybody see okay? Okay, great. So just to kind of minimize the feedback and everything, the sounds from everybody's computer, if it's all right, I've kind of put people on mute when they come in and for now. And if you need to, at any point, during the workshop, feel free to just ask questions, put everything out there. So you just need to unmute your microphone, say what you need to say, and then you can mute again, if that's all right. So yeah, this practice, I'm really, first of all, I really want to apologize. There was a misunderstanding with the time zones between me and Gareth. I think on the ZenWaves website, we have it at 9 a.m. and it's obviously 9 p.m. over there now. So I'm really sorry about that, that misunderstanding. Should have double checked that. I'm not sure what happened along the way there, but anyways, it's being recorded. Some people can't make it, so I'm gonna just kind of send the link on to them. Okay. So yeah, I think everybody that's here now has access to the Zen Jin Shin liver chart, okay? And if for some reason you don't, just kind of go along with it. I'll be kind of pointing out some of the points and just do the best you can. And afterwards, I can email you the liver chart, okay? And you might have it printed out. I find that working with like a handout works well for me. But you can also, if you're very good with the computer and used to doing that, you're welcome to just bring it up on your computer too. So yeah, so I'm Shinkai, or Matt, and I'm with Blue Cliff Zen Center out in Eugene, Oregon. So we're on Pacific time now. We're on LA time, Seattle time. So it's 1 in the afternoon here. And so these practices, this Zen Jin Shin practice, I learned from Daizan when I was practicing at Gyoku Ryuji Temple in Gifu, Japan, a number of years back. When I was studying with Shinzan Roshi and also with Daizan. Daizan was the vice abbot at the time. So he was kind of like a mentor. He was a mentor to me. He was a teacher to me then. And he kind of just gave me the sequences and just kind of had me run with them. It was kind of like after I had been meditating for a while, there was this understanding that, hey, there's going to be stuff that comes up in your practice that you may want to put a little bit more conscious awareness to. So he kind of had me just go with them and explore these sequences. And could ask questions and all of that. Sometimes at the temple we would kind of do the sequences on each other at Gyoku Ryuji, and you could definitely do them on yourself. So I did a lot of kind of like individual work with this. I know he said so these come down to us through Daizan Soto Zen lineage side. He practiced for many years up in northern England, as you all probably know, at Thrustle Hole Abbey. And the founder of Thrustle Hole being Roshi Jiyu Kennett. So she was very big on these kind of, she called them mudras, these different kind of positions to put your body in order to kind of bring greater awareness to the different flows happening. So up there, he said that they would often work with a partner on these sequences together. And it was almost like, in our practice, Daizan says this a lot, like this difference between like the monastery kind of scheduled, disciplined, structured time, when you're in the Zendo meditating, when you're in the kitchen, you know, when you're outside working, it's almost like the schedule is very carefully prescribed. And then there's this whole other dimension of things, which is kind of like spontaneous practice, like Reido or Yaza, like nighttime meditation practice. Shinzan Roshi was always really big on just going out and sitting after the formal schedule for the day had finished at the monastery. And for like forest practice, hermitage practice as well, as you may know, like doing a self-retreat, sometimes there's more of like a softness there, kind of like letting the body do what it needs. When you're sleepy, you sleep. When you're hungry, you eat. So this dimension of kind of just in more of a relaxed platform doing these sequences sounds like how it very much was for him up at the monastery in northern England. So yeah, Roshi Jiyu being the founder, she drew from different sources for these sequences, is my understanding. Buddhist iconography, okay, like for example, you see the different kind of statues of the Buddha, the fearlessness mudra, the compassion mudra, touching the earth, just these different positions that we can put our bodies in, and it kind of creates a certain dimension of energy or a state of mind. So Buddhist iconography, there are some Buddhist texts that touch on the different points, okay? She also speaks about Hakuin at times, and I'm kind of in the process of looking into that a little bit more. She's mentioned just how Hakuin has been kind of an influence on her, or had been an influence on her with kind of the energy practices that we know well, right, with Zen ways. And also these points. It's interesting. I'm interesting to learn more about that through Hakuin's line. And then also Douyin being kind of like Chinese yoga. There's a long tradition in China and in East Asia, just of these kind of the body as kind of like an energetic being. This very much underlies Zen, and just how there's different points, and actually the whole body is beating with energy at every moment. So you can get creative with it. There are different systems. She's talked about how the traditional kind of acupuncture system has been an influence for her. Douyin, that process of kind of guiding and stretching, like Zen yoga practice. Also Jin Shin Jutsu. Apparently there was a point there where she got pretty sick, and I believe, I think it was out in Japan, there was a Jin Shin Jutsu practitioner who kind of worked on her and helped her to heal, to get better. Also another kind of similar to Jin Shin Jutsu, Jin Shin Do, another kind of practice, working with these different points and harmonizing the beats in the different energy systems. So we've got kind of these different influences coming down through Roshi Jiyu on the Soto Zen side, and then through Daizan, kind of like our teacher. So Zen Jin Shin means meditation of compassionate awareness, or compassionate meditation, compassionate awareness practice or meditation. Sometimes Jin can mean kind of like benevolent, so benevolent, compassionate, kind. And then Shin can be kind of like spirit, or like energy, or I like the word awareness. And then Zen, of course, being like our meditation, like a meditation practice. So yeah, the idea is that we've got these different, in our daily practice, you know, we do retreats at times. We've got this common thread of our practice going daily, hopefully, or moving in that direction. And this idea that stuff comes up for us. And there's a good chance that there's going to be recurring stuff that comes up for us of a particular energy feel. Like we might have a lot of recurring anxiety coming up for us. We might have memories about a particular experience in the past that kind of keep coming up. They're persistent, right? And the idea is that, we keep sitting with those, we keep sitting right in the middle of those, being with those, letting them swirl, feeling them, opening to them. But that also, it can help to really have a specific kind of conscious practice that really hones in on a particular thing that's going on for us at maybe a period of our practice. So if we do have a lot of anxiety coming up again and again, it's like, gosh, well, maybe I'll do a sequence that really works on the stomach and spleen meridian lines. And I can really be there honing in on that anxiety and worry and really, having that intention to open to it, to let it come free, to let it be released. So that's how these were used in the temple. Just as kind of like an adjunct to meditation practice and how you can really fine tune it. And there can also be a quality of discovery with them. There are even kind of sequences that are called discovery mudras, where we're not quite sure what's coming up for us. There's like something there underneath the surface. We're not quite sure what it is. And there's kind of these different sequences a sequence that you can do that kind of helps to bring that awareness, that light to what really is kind of wanting to come to the surface of things. So there's a lot to them. They're fantastic, I think. They really work, and you can make them your own. There is the sequence, but there's also the potential there for you to just really trust your intuition, to just kind of be there with, oh, where does my hand want to move next? A lot of these came through just being in the meditative state and being with the body and the energy, and then kind of figuring that out and writing things down later. So we can do that too. And, I think we're encouraged to do it. Daizan's always really encouraged me and others to do that, I know. So the other quality too, so yeah, this idea of like, a human body is going to have these tensions. We're going to have physical tensions at times. We're going to have mental. We're going to have emotional. And it's like if we can, like this practice really helps us to release the tensions and let the energy move, let things free up. So the other dimension to things is this sense of like the seasons. Zen very much looks at the seasons and tries to really align with the seasons, to blend with them. So right now, being the springtime, right, it's traditionally seen as the time for nourishing the liver and the gallbladder. And there's this sense of like this creativity, this boundless creativity that's happening outside, everywhere around us, this flowering, this blossoming. And, we do that too. We're the universe. We are nature. And, that process wants to happen within us too. This creativity wants to kind of burst forth. And if that's not there, if we've got kind of some suppression going on for whatever reason, and we do typically, right? It's almost like there's a tension there, and that creativity, that desire for self-expression can get dampened. There can be kind of like a suppressing going on, a bracing against it. And when that happens, we feel frustrated. We feel like, gosh, I just can't live out what I'm, like my potential. I can't live my life. We feel anger sometimes. That's associated with kind of liver energy when things can feel stuck or frozen. Resentment, irritation, that whole range of emotions when this creativity isn't really allowed to have a space into which it can come. So, in order for that process to happen, um, it's there's a sense of like underlying kindness or often tenderness or gentleness. So instead of like, no, that creativity can't happen, it's kind of like, yeah, sure, okay, yeah, do see what happens with things. So like there's this sense of like kindness that's associated with a healthy liver and gallbladder, and also a sense of like this creativity. So by doing this work in the springtime, it helps us to really blend with what's going on all around us. Helps us to bring attention to maybe some spots that are a little bit closed off or stuck, and to kind of get things moving there. So these sequences can be worked on with a partner, okay, of course, or you can do them individually. Um, so yeah, we're using the fingers, okay? I sent out kind of just a short guide on how to do this practice. Not sure if you read it or not, but this idea of, yeah, the fingers is kind of being very sensitive, like antennas, and they might be your index fingers or your middle fingers, your ring fingers. It might be a couple of fingers that you're working with. Really explore what feels right, what feels most sensitive. But so we're going to have basically the hands at certain places, and we breathe, we relax, and essentially what we're doing is we're being present and we're tuning in to the different beats, the kind of pulses that we can feel. And chances are, the top hand, the beat might be really going boom, 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 very quick, very, very strong. Maybe the bottom hand is very weak, kind of maybe erratic. And the idea is just to stay there. We're not trying to treat anybody. We're not trying to control any of this or manipulate the energy. There's very much a softness to it, like an allowing. So we're just being there with the beats as they are. We might be able to feel this one a lot, this one a little, and we're just staying there with them. We're present, we're relaxed, and as we stay, things typically they begin to fall into sync. They begin to fall into harmony. And you'll even notice, I typically notice, like you feel relaxation almost between the points. It's almost like the bracing that I was doing, the tension that was there begins to kind of melt little bit by little bit. And all of a sudden, after a short period of time or long period of time, it's like they begin to fall into harmony. They fall into sync. And once they do, you can stay there with those beats for a couple more moments. Really feel that. And then when you're ready, you shift to the next point, okay, in the sequence. And it will only be one hand moving at a time. So it's almost like we always have that anchor. And then again, so then maybe this point is, very, very numb. You don't have a lot there. And this point is still strong. And you just stay there with that. You might sometimes need to kind of push in a little bit and release. We're not like pressing very hard into the points. It's not like acupressure or acupuncture, which is really in there. You might need to press in a little at times, but the idea is to kind of have your hands resting pretty gently on the points. Daizon always used to say kind of like, if you push too hard, it can dampen out your sense of touch. So we want to stay soft and with it. Okay, yeah. yeah, and just this is something that we're learning, and you get familiar with it. It can take a while. It's something new, perhaps. So, just be patient with it and kind of have like a playful attitude with it. Okay. So, I've got kind of this is my person here. Okay, I was gonna just kind of show what it would look like for like a partner, just to get straight on like the top and the bottom and the near and the far sides. But before we kind of just look at the logistics of it, does anybody have any questions or anything arising that's been unclear so far, or just any reflections or any questions about anything?
I have a question.
Great.
When we talk about like harmonizing the 2 points, is that like we're kind of waiting for them to be synchronous, to synchronize, or to just like that they would then feel kind of the same?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's right, Julie. We're looking for, and again, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's almost like we're not harmonizing them. It's almost like we're allowing them to come into harmony. We're allowing them to come into sync. Um, Often their strengths, however, whatever strength they are, one might be weak at the start, strong at the start. Often they will kind of level out. They'll come to be um, pretty pretty similar strength wise, and also rhythm wise. We find some will be maybe a little bit erratic. Some will be very smooth, like clockwork. But what we do, yeah, when we're just there and we're allowing things to kind of be held in this attention, what we find is that they do fall in line. They begin to the weak one gets stronger, maybe the strong one gets weaker, or sometimes they really there's a kind of like a booming to them. Um, so yeah, we're allowing them to fall into line.
Thank you.
That sound okay? Okay. And sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's just you get to a tricky point and you've got one that's really in your attention, and the other's like, gosh, I just can't really feel that. And that's kind of where the intuition comes in. It's like, well, where does your hand need to be? Oh, do you need to switch fingers? Do you need to push in a little bit? Do you need to relax your arm a little bit? Do you need to take a breath? Um, yeah, and even if they're not perfectly in line, if this one's still very kind of closed off or dark, that's okay. It'll come, and just move on to the next point. Any other questions or anything? Okay. All right, great. So, yeah, when we're thinking about just uh, like our partner, so if we're doing it on a partner, I find that it's easiest if you just, regardless of if you're doing it on a partner or on yourself, just um, pick your top hand and pick your bottom hand and just keep them the same. Whatever's the near side of the body, the far side of the body, just keep them the same. If in doubt, just if you stay the same, it'll be fine. But typically, so if this is my partner's head and this is my partner's feet, so I'm on their left side, right? So my right hand here is my top hand, okay? So my left hand is my bottom hand. And so their left side is towards me here. So that's their near side. And then that's their far side, okay? So, if I'm doing a far point by their rib cage, I'm not on the near side, I'm over here with my top hand. And if my bottom hand's down at the foot, on the near side, I'm on the near side, I'm not on the far side. And you want to get yourself comfortable because you're going to be there for a while. And if you're in a bunch of pain and it just feels like a struggle just to even hold your posture, it's going to be a long session for you. So, use blankets, use props. Sometimes you're going to be, again, this is a very spontaneous practice for the giver and for the receiver. It's like you find yourself, like you might even be laying back on a couch or in an easy chair or in a bed. It's like you find yourself just kind of coming into these positions kind of naturally. So that's how that is. And then for you, if you're just doing it on you, same thing. I just imagine that, okay, I'm giving it to myself. So, okay, my top hand is going to be my right hand, bottom hand's my left, and then my right side of my body, okay, is going to be my far side, and my left side of my body, this is me here, okay, is going to be my near side. So like if I'm going to do if my top hand is kind of at this point by my collarbone, I'm gonna be, if it's on the far side, that'll be over to the right, okay, and then the left side, or so the bottom hand is the left. Say it's the near side down at the leg, it'll be on my left side. So you just to get the points right, the sides right, you just kind of imagine how you are if you were lying down. And this is always your right hand, this is always your left. So as far as, so for our sequence, so for our points, again, just kind of have an openness to it. If the points aren't exactly as they would look on the sheet, that's fine. Just notice where your hands go with it. So to start off, we've got the top hand at the far right, the far liver 1, according to this system. Okay, so if I'm working with a partner, I'm going to be actually coming under their neck. Okay, kind of on the far side, kind of at the base of the skull. So for me, it'll kind of be at the base of my skull, maybe the first or the second vertebrae down, just kind of off to the side there. Just kind of feeling my way into that. So the left hand, the bottom hand is going to be at the near side. So if you're working on a partner, it'll be towards you here, underneath the clavicle. Okay, if it's on me, it's my left side too. So I'm kind of here. And just relaxing and kind of sensing. Okay. Okay. So I'm actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just go a little quicker. I'm gonna take you through them and then kind of let you go at your own pace. Okay, so that's the first step there. So second step, we're moving down to the liver 3 point. Okay, so we're still on the near side of the body. Okay, so coming down kind of to the top of the belly here. Kind of like that kind of curve area in the rib cage. Perhaps you might be kind of coming against that, kind of the top of the belly. Okay, and then we're shifting over to the far side. So the top hand stays the same a lot with this sequence, doesn't it? Pretty much the whole time. So now the left hand, the bottom hand, is going to come over now to the far side. And it's kind of on the, kind of halfway down the thigh, between kind of the pelvis and the knee there. Kind of on the side of the leg, but maybe a little bit up, a little bit towards the front there. And again, you might need to make yourself comfortable to do this. Just kind of sensing the beats and kind of relaxing into them, letting things play out. Okay, and then that left hand will move down still to the far side. Okay, so the right side for me, kind of down to this ridge where the big toe has a bone coming up, and then the second toe there comes up. It's kind of like a ridge or like a valley there. Just kind of finding an active place there to just get a sense of things. Okay, and then what you do is so right hand stays the same. So if your partner's there, it'll be their far arm, right? So we're going kind of for the pulse point, or kind of below the wrist bone here, somewhere along that inner arm on the thumb side. Okay, so it's a little bit awkward because if you're doing it on yourself, because your arm's already kind of behind you here. So you can do it that way, or you might even find that you kind of reach behind you and you kind of have the hand that way. And this reminds me kind of some of Daizan's Zen yoga liver practice positions, like the pine tree, for example. We have this kind of the arms lifted like this, kind of open and through things. So again, you're being with the beats and allowing them to kind of come into focus. Might take some time. That's okay. So we're just doing a dry run here. Okay, and then lastly, the left hand stays the same, so still on that kind of pulse point area. But the right hand, the top hand, is going to come over to the other side of the neck at the base of the skull, or down to kind of that big C7 vertebrae there, kind of at the base of the neck. Whatever feels best for you. So it might just kind of stay here, or it might kind of come down. Okay. So, and that would do, so it says sit on one side to influence the other side. Okay, so we're sitting on the left side, so we're influencing the right kind of side of the liver line. That's the idea. If we were sitting on their right side, we'll be kind of influencing the left side. Typically, it's nice to do both sides at some point during the day. Okay, so then you would switch it up if you're doing it on yourself. Okay, so yeah. Any questions or anything like that, just about kind of that process?
Yeah, sure. When you say switch it up from one side to the other, do you mean you would actually, your hands would be in opposite positions?
It would be the complete opposite sequence. Exactly. Oh. Yeah. So if the top, okay, we just did the one side, right? With me sitting to the left of my partner. So to get the other side, I would come over here. And now my top hand would be my left hand, right? Bottom hand would be my right. So far side, so now I'm coming over to the other side of their neck, okay? So for me, it would be now I'm on the left side of my neck to start with my left hand. Right hand's going to be, so near side's going to be not this side. It's going to be the near side under the clavicle, under the collarbone there, inner leg, foot, and then coming over to, this pulse point on the left hand, and then the left hand moving over to the other side. So yeah, so switching it up means, look, we did the sequence, we did the 6 steps of the sequence, so we really kind of got things moving in a good way through one liver kind of liver line, liver sequence, and now we're going to do kind of the other one. So everything would be flipped. Yeah, good question. Yeah, sometimes it can, once you get familiar with it, it gets more and more like, oh yeah. But it can take, it takes a little bit of time. You can get confused with it. Any other questions right now?
Shinkai, I put up an image I found online of the Jin Shin chart. I don't know if it's it. Can you see it on my screen if that's the one? I didn't get the email yet.
Sure. I'll send it to you right now, Adam. I'll send it to you right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and as far as how long to do it, this is, totally up to you. It might be a quick, you might have a quick session where you're with things for about 1 minute, or even shorter. You may be really being there with stuff for 3-4 minutes. Ultimately, we're not choosing how long. We're letting things come into harmony, but typically a few minutes on each point can feel really good. I find that once they fall into sync, it's like if you sit there and just really feel that and relax there, it's like you can really feel what's going on. Like that stuff that we're talking about is, it's a rich kind of platform for things to kind of be happening and releasing. But there's also, when you're struggling with it, that sense of actually you're feeling stuff then too. That it's really, you can feel stuff coming to the surface then often as well.
Matt, would you normally do this lying down, or does it not matter? Are you sitting, or is there a preference?
Yeah, hi Keith. Well, I remember we were doing it. I think you could do it either way. Again, the thing that I try to be, like, I find that, again, that quality of having a softness and an allowing, and it might feel really good to be sitting and doing it. When we're in our posture, we're present and aligned and everything. I find, so you can, so really feel it out. If it feels good to really be in a meditation posture and doing it, you totally can. I find that doing it on my couch or like in my easy chair, or I remember when we were in Japan, I think last year, 2 years ago, we were working on the heart in the summertime, and we were in the Zendo there, and that with guys on. I remember seeing like we were all kind of like we were like doing like it really turns you into a pretzel sometimes. So you're like lying on the ground trying to do it, like there's a playfulness about it. So lying down is great too. Yeah, and if you're with a partner, typically the idea is that they'll be lying down and doing it.
Great. Thank you, Matt. Thank you.
Yeah. And just individually, you might find that you're just lying down. Yeah.
Hi,
So,
Matt.
hey, okay.
How often would you do the practice?
Yeah. Well, especially if it's kind of like say, okay, we've got a lot of frustration coming up, a lot of anger, and you know, for whatever reason, seasons changing. Doing it once, one day, and maybe, just feeling that out, maybe letting it be for a day, seeing what happens, and then coming back to it could work. Um, I think you can really chart your own course with it. So, this idea that, okay, we're there with it one time, stuff is starting to happen, we're getting kind of used to the movements, the mudras, where we're at, maybe we're not quite, maybe it's not, um, maybe it could go deeper. So this idea of coming back to it again and again, it can really shake stuff out. So you want to go gently, as with most of our work. I don't know, keep just kind of keeping tabs on it. Like, okay, what's coming up? Does it feel like I could do more? Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it the next day. Okay, I'll do it. I'll leave a day. I'll do it the next day. Um, yeah, and then you can always try a different one. I don't know, kind of blending things, exploring that way. Um, I think the idea is, this stuff's coming up for somebody. So somebody at their training center it's like they're having a hard time with something. So it's like, okay, you go ahead and lie down. I'm going to do this sequence on you to really help that. Maybe they've had a lot of stuff come loose. And it's like, okay, here, to just really, just in their practice in general. It's like, okay, just for the residual stuff to really help that stuff clear and really be processed. Okay, I'm going to do a sequence. I'll do a sequence on you. So that's how I've kind of read a little bit about how Roshi Jiu Kennet talked about it. But my sense is, if I do one, I've probably done this 3 times in the last week, just to get familiar with it for you guys. And then also because, I've got some of this stuff coming up for me. So I think you can feel things out.
Thank you, Matt.
Sure.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
We just did that sequence, and I've got an enormous lot of heat now. I'm feeling very warm. Is that normal?
It can take that form, definitely. Yep. Heat is energy. I remember Mark saying emotion, right? Our emotions. Emotion is energy and motion, right? Our feelings, our emotions are energy, and there's a temperature to that. There's a heat to that. I think it's pretty normal to feel that heat releasing during the practice. Yeah, doesn't happen like that for everybody all the time, but yeah, totally.
Hi, Matt. It's Denise here. I'm very new to this. I just wondering, you were describing that this is part of with Zen, it's part of the spring practice or the season of spring. Would you use this at another time of year if there's frustration or anger? And that's question number 1. And the second question would be, is it more profound when you're doing it in springtime because it's tied in with the energies of spring?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think you can totally use it any time of year. for your first question, yes. I mean, if whatever's coming up in your life or in your practice, if you're just feeling like, gosh, I just feel angry a lot. I've got this underlying sense of frustration a lot. That would be a nice time to do it. So you can totally do it anytime. Anger, unfortunately, doesn't just stay in the springtime for us. We've got it. It's a it's a 12-month emotion. So you can totally, yeah, use it that way to release the tension there. And yeah, I think there's something to this whole system of the organs and certain organs coming into prominence in certain seasons. There's a huge there's a lot of detail with it. Like there's a certain color to the season. There's a taste. Certain foods that we eat can really nourish that organ system and that dimension to our being in the spring. So I think there is something to do to working with this liver energy during the season where it's most prominent for us. I think there is a quality of it having more power during the spring, or having its place, and really that intention of wanting to blend with what's going on outside in the universe and doing things that kind of help us to move in that direction. I think that yeah, it's great to do in the spring. So let's keep going with it. I know everybody's kind of at their own speed. Um, keep going. I'm gonna do it on myself too. And as questions happen here with you or with you and your partner, just go ahead and put them out there. Just keep putting them out there.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
The first time we went through it, each time I touched a new point, I felt really unbalanced for a few, I don't know, seconds, not very long. Is that indicative of anything or any change I should make based on that information?
Sure. Well, you know, they say that the different points in the body and feeling into it, that you can diagnose how things are going through sensing the beats, and then also work with them through, like acupuncture is often like that, right? And different forms of acupressure. Um, but I think maybe don't worry too much about it. There's a good chance that we're holding different tensions in different ways, and the beats are going to be doing their thing, and don't worry too much. I would say, yeah, don't worry too much don't think into it too much. It might be soft, it might be really pounding, might be erratic. Just stay with things as they are. It's almost like that's a gift that we can give our body. Just being with them, our mindfulness practice, just being with the point and the beats as they are. There's a therapeutic quality just to doing that alone.
And then just to clarify, it wasn't that the beats were unbalanced so much that I felt like wobbly, like my body felt unbalanced was what I meant to communicate. I might not have said that clearly.
So your body felt your body felt imbalanced when you had your hands on the points?
Only for a few seconds, and then it got better.
Okay, and when you say kind of like felt a little bit wobbly, a little bit off, how so?
Like I was tipping, like I was sitting straight, and then I started to tip and had to right myself.
Oh yeah. So like you didn't feel very aligned. You didn't feel like in a good posture.
Yeah, so I started off perfectly straight, or not perfectly, but sitting straight and feeling like I had a good foundation. Then it felt like whoa, like tipsy. Felt tipsy.
Yeah.
Not tipsy like drunk tipsy, but tipsy like actually tipsy.
Okay, a little dizzy. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, we're contorting our body in different ways with it, and yeah. Well, and you said it just lasted for a couple seconds, and is it feel okay now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I would say, yeah, just keep letting that come and go when it happens.
Thank you.
Matt, can I
Yeah.
just say, is it okay to, when you're doing your, when we're doing it, can I just take a couple of pictures of you doing that?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So just to remember, because I'll be doing it on myself.
Sure. Oh, like the points?
Yeah.
Like,
Just,
okay.
can I
Yeah.
do that?
Oh, totally, totally. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I'll kind of go through it too. Yeah. Okay.
That'd be lovely. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay.
Matt, your top hand, the one that's on your head, is that towards your left ear or the right ear?
Towards my right ear. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, can I just ask a question, please?
Sure.
Hi. It's Sophie, by the way. I know
Hi,
your
hi,
name's not up
Sophie.
there. Hi. If one of these points is sensitive, so for me, on both legs, point L4 is quite sensitive. Does that mean that, obviously I'm not going to press too hard, but does that mean anything if any of the points are more sensitive than others? Do you know?
Sure. I mean, it could. Yeah, there could be some pain there. There could be some tension over time. Like you said, yeah, no, we're not, you know, you might push in a little and then release. Um, yeah, sometimes it can say it's a sign that there's, you know, maybe little bit of imbalance in in uh, in that area of the body, in that energy line there. Uh, you know, and that's great that you're tuning into that. And yeah, so just like you said, just be gentle with it, and just really try to feel it. Really try to let it give its voice through your having your fingers there and kind of listening to it, being open to how it beats, how it pulses.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Matt, can you just say again where this one is? L5. The one on near
Yeah.
the toes.
Yeah. So we've got it's kind of like there's a so we've got the big toe and then the bone coming up into the foot. So there's like a ridge there, right? And then we've got the second toe coming up. So it's almost like there's a V,
Okay.
and it's kind of somewhere in that valley there.
Is it on top or underneath?
Uh, uh, on top.
On top. Okay.
Or it's in the valley. It's in the between the mountains there.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, on top of the foot though.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Shinkai, does this practice coincide with acupressure and meridians and energy flow?
Yeah, Adam. It's definitely it's within that kind of that tradition. Yeah, yeah. The Roshi Jiu Kennen had there were a number of influences, including all of the ones that you're talking about. Yeah, yeah. Tuning into the energy in the body and how to allow things to be flowing versus kind of closed off, stuck. Yeah.
Shinkai,
Yeah.
could you say where point 6 was?
Sure. So Marilee, point 6 is so it's kind of you've got your thumb here. You can even do the pad of the thumb if it's hard to reach, but just this point, just kind of below the wrist bone on the thumb side of the hand there. Just kind of there's actually a few points there, but yeah. So it's a little weird because your arm is behind you and you're trying to find this. Main thing is to stay relaxed. You can stay relaxed, the beats will.
Thank you.
Okay.
Shinkai, may I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
So this is Julie, and what if one doesn't necessarily feel any beats? Mm.
Right, which will happen for sure at times. Yeah. Just main thing is just have that intention, just staying there with that, not feeling any beats. And I mean, obviously you can try to kind of, rub around the area a little bit or push in and release or try another finger, something like that. And then, yeah, just kind of be there. You can even imagine that you feel the beat. And just stay there for a certain period of time. And then when it feels like there's been some attention put towards that area, then just shifting, just move on to the next step. Yeah, that'll happen. That'll happen from time to time.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Sure. And just for the record, I'm shifting over to my other side now. Okay. So my left hand's my top hand.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
This is Donna. I'm wondering if you did this practice more frequently than was ideal, what would you expect to see? So I know you said kind of give your body a chance to integrate everything that's happened. But if say I did it daily, but ideally I would be doing this every other day for what my body needs, what would I anticipate seeing as a result of doing this practice too frequently?
So Donna, if you were doing it like more than maybe felt like you're doing, like really doing it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you might feel a lot of stuff like shaken loose in there. You might feel a lot of anger or a lot of frustration kind of coming loose. A lot of memories about that kind of stuff. Like opening the floodgates in a way. Just really irritable a lot. Yeah, those kinds of things you might, which is actually, if we can, it's coming loose because the universe feels that, we're in a position where we can be with it and let it release. So there is some good stuff about it too, but yeah, maybe it's just a little bit intense. Maybe it's a little bit too intense. It's like, oh gosh, I just feel totally bogged down by these angry memories or this frustration or whatever it is. And I don't want to limit the liver and gallbladder stuff. We talk about anger and frustration, but there can be a lot of other stuff that comes out. It's not limited to just those emotions, just because traditionally those are some of the feelings that we look at. It could be all kinds of different things, or maybe there was an injury along the liver line, the liver system area, and kind of like those memories of that energy, that injury come loose. Maybe there was some trauma that happened there. There can be a lot. So yeah, keeping an open mind, like a curiosity, like, oh, what's going to come out of this? How am I going to feel?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Your left hand, which is behind your back, your head, where is it sitting exactly? Because I can't feel anything either. Is it right in the middle of that little gap, or is it to the left? Do you know what I mean? Where is it exactly?
So it's to the left of the vertebrae there. Like this gap, do you mean?
Okay.
Yeah, so I've got the base of my head here, and then a couple vertebrae coming down here. So it's not on the vertebrae.
Right.
there's a ridge, kind of a muscle there. That might work for you, but it might even be more a little bit to the, like the gap you kind of said, or a little bit
So it's
along that.
to the left of that sort of vertebrae.
Yeah, yeah, it's not actually on the vertebrae. It's kind of to the side of the vertebrae.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Typically, you don't want watches on or jewelry or anything like that. I got to say that. often it's nice once you finish to just kind of like finished with a side, even to just kind of be with your breathing, relax, and just kind of tune into how you feel, like just being.
Can I just ask something?
Yeah.
Sorry, one last thing. You know when your hand is on your thigh,
Yes.
whereabouts, I mean, is it on the top? Is it sort of to the side? I mean, sorry, it's such a...
Yeah. No, right. It's important. I know. My sense is, so here's my knee.
Mhm.
This is the top here, and then
Yeah,
that's the side. Um,
yeah.
my sense is it's kind of almost in between the two.
Okay.
So like 45 degrees. Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
it's along that muscle, then sort of that inner,
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
that just, yeah. Well, I see what you're
Yeah.
saying. Oh, yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. At
Thank,
least for me, and maybe somebody else is different, but yeah, that's a good thought.
thank you.
Sure.
Just helps me to know because I'm sort of putting it on my leg and then I wasn't not feeling much and I wasn't sure where to
Yeah,
press. It's fine. Thank you.
sure. And it's amazing how, like, once you, as you keep doing it, it's like your hands just find the place. It's almost like, you can take a look at the sequence and it's like, okay, there. It's almost like they know where to go. Your hands know where to go. It's interesting, that kind of knowing or whatever. A friend of mine, Chris, out in the UK, when we were doing the workshop 2 years ago or something out there, we were doing the fall. And I liked the word, kind of the sentence he used when he was working with his partner, is like, let them come to you. Let them come to you. Let the beats come to you. The pulses come to you.
I like that.
Like that attitude really,
I like that.
because we can get so geared towards, okay, I'm going to do this. It's like this quality of letting them come to you.
Makes sense. Then at least you can explore, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So how did that, we've just got a few more minutes. How did that feel for everybody? And how was that for you?
I have a question.
Sure.
I think after the sequence, my head feel quite clear, which is I feel nice.
Yeah.
The only place I don't feel very sensitive is the L7. I don't know exactly, don't seem to be very feel anything there.
Sure. And maybe just staying with the L1 for that last step. Maybe that's best for you. Yeah, you could, yeah, right. Really relax that, yeah, that L7 kind of by the C7, that kind of bump there. It's like really relax this shoulder rather than having it up. If you relax it and maybe go a little wider, try going a little wider. You might be kind of close in. It's like go a little wider with it. Look over here. Yeah. And it's tricky because, you know, we really are in a contorted shape to reach to the far side behind our back with that opposite hand. I mean, it's hard to stay relaxed in that position.
Did you do both L1 on the opposite side as well as the L7?
I did. I was just trying to show people, okay, I'm at L1 for a couple moments, and then I'm going down to L7. And I guess you could do that. You know, for some reason, L7 is a option for us there. I like the fact that each of these sequences, there's typically one or two in there where it's like this or this. And I like that because it's almost like it's saying that there can be some fluidity there. It's like hinting at the fact that, hey, it's not a concrete set in stone, sequence that you must be here for this. And, maybe it kind of puts that out there for the other points too, keep a softness about it.
Thank you.
Does anybody? Yeah.
It was very relaxing.
Hmm.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, gosh. No problem. Yeah, it's great to be able to pass this on to people. I really feel honored to be able to do that.
I look forward to working with it a while and seeing how it feels over time.
Nice. Yeah.
Me too. I think. Sorry. I was going to say that I couldn't feel too much. Only a few. I felt my wrist on my thumb side, but I couldn't feel my leg or anything. But I think with the exploration, and as you said, like be a bit more fluid with it, I think then I'll just practice and hopefully I can get those pulses, all the points. But I think it takes time, doesn't it, really? Sometimes it doesn't.
Totally. Yeah, pretty normal. Yeah. I mean, it's a new thing and we're doing a lot. There's a lot of things to it. Yeah, just a little bit of repetition there and it exactly like you say. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for showing us that.
Sure.
Question, Shinkai?
Okay. Yeah. Komio.
So on the sheet that you gave us with the diagram showing the points, at the bottom it shows step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then it shows a column for top hand and bottom hand. So if the top hand is far, L1, does that really meaning, are we really saying far and near is one is left and one is right? Like, so if far L1, I'm using my left hand on my left L1 point, is near L2 and near L3 on my right side, and far L4, far L5, far L6 back on my left side.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay. I think I did it wrong, but I felt the pulses. It took a while. Like I had to sit there for a few minutes, and then all of a sudden, and most of them were synced. There was one that was really off. And I couldn't quite get it to sync, so I moved on. And then there was another point, I think it was with L1 to L3 on one of the sides, where I actually felt like a bit of grief coming up.
Nice.
But I didn't feel like punching anybody. I didn't have any kind of anger things coming up.
Yeah. 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 Great. Well, yeah, so this is, you know, feel it out over the next couple of weeks if you can. You can email any questions anytime. You know, if it's really resonating and for some reason you want to look at the gallbladder sequence, which is the subsidiary organ to the liver and the spring, just send me an email. You know, wait a little bit. If it's resonating with you though, send me an email. I can send you the gallbladder chart as well. So in the maybe in 3 months or so, we'll kind of shift into summertime, and I'm hoping to be able to hold another Zen Jin Shin workshop on the heart. On the heart, that's summer season stuff. Okay, so I'll be here for a few more minutes if there are any last questions. But thank you so much for staying up late, a lot of you. And yeah, really hope you continue to benefit from the work. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank
Yep.
you, Matt. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Shinkai.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Great to be with the Zenways group too. That was really fun.
Yeah, that was lovely. Nice to be there. Seeing everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Shinkai.
Sure.
Thank you.